Time for the 49ers Rush Podcast. And here's your host, John Chapman.
What is up, faithful? Today is a good day because it's Sunday, and even though we don't have 49ers football quite yet, it is on the horizon, my friends. We're so close to being able to watch Trey Lance in real time on a real game that matters. So much excitement. I'm so pumped right now. I'm like, everything is just better. Now, the anticipation I know is going to peak eventually where it's like too much and it's just like, I got to have it here. But so far, I'm still kind of in the realm of I'm soaking it up, man. I'm loving this. Hopefully you guys are too. Now, today, what we got a lot of good stuff. One, the 49ers added practice squad player, a new player that we didn't know much about. We're going to detail all of that offensive tackle, which was needed. Plus, we're going to jump into this comes from shout out to Greg Davis, who gave me this idea on Patreon. He wanted to talk about the difference for the 49ers and Bears last year versus this year, what going into the game was like, what it is like now, all those things. We're going to do a full scouting report episode. That's later in the week. Shout out to Coach Cruz, who's helping me with those this year. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to step back, and I very nostalgic day. I'm on Twitter too often, and I didn't even know you could filter and search tweets based on dates. So what I did, because I'm just a psycho, I went back and searched all of last year's tweets before the game and just started looking through where we were, where the team was, what the expectations were. I went back and watched even some of the clips of the scouting report and predictions episode before the game. Oh my gosh, it's like I'm a different person talking about a different team. It was a lot of fun. It was very, I don't know. I love where we are now compared to where we were last year heading into that Bears game. And we'll jump into that a little bit later in the episode. And man, it was very clear going back through film. There was a single decisive play, one play that was not only the changing point of that Bears game, because we were losing in the second half to the Bears, led by a rookie quarterback. We were not playing well at all. There was one play that was not only the changing point of that game, but of the entire season. Everything changed last year. That was a launching point into the 49ers making all the way to the NFC Championship. So we're going to do that as well. Plus, as always, we're going to get to your questions and comments. Now, I am rolling a little bit solo today. The man Clayton behind the scenes can't be here, and so it's a little bit different. So tag me in the chat. I love all the hashtag CCs. I love it. Anyway. So if you guys want to chit chat and all those things, throw that up in there. We'll be able to get through those. Like, subscribe, you Patreon. I love it. You know what to do, man. Patreon this week's going to be fire. You want to know about the Bears, man? We got Coach Ant. He's breaking down coach's tape on the Bears before the game. And we have our extra episode over there as well. So that if you want to know what's going on, because the Bears changed everything. And they're really almost doing like a 49ers light on offense and defense and special teams. I chuckled a couple times because do you guys remember Richard Hightower, our special teams coordinator for the past 5 years? Guess where he's coaching now? That's right. He is the Bears special teams coordinator. So there's that. I'll let you figure out what to file that into, but it's different, right? Talk about just differences and what that's going to be. Plus, Flynn, we get to watch the Rams play on Thursday against the Bills. That's going to be awesome. But if the Rams lose, listen to this, okay? Again, I'm a little too excited. I had too much coffee this morning. If you just look at where the Niners were last year going into the Bears game, the 49ers were 2-4. 2-4. The Cardinals were 7-0, and the Rams were 6-1. We were basically left for dead. We were tied with Seattle, dead last in the NFC West last year going into that game. We're tied. We both had a 2-4 record with the terrible Seattle Seahawks. Like, we were left for dead. DED. It seemed like it was over. We were able to make some adjustments, caught a little lucky breaks couple, and the team kind of figured out who they were, I think, during that time, which was awesome. Now, before we jump into that, I got to cover this first because I know I'm going to go off on a lot of tangents in this episode. Whatever I fly solo, I got to do, but I've got too much notes. I have too many notes. So I got a lot to get to. Now, the 49ers did make a roster decision. They brought in a new offensive tackle, Leroy Watson, to their practice squad. And he's unique. I don't know what else to say. 6'5", 275. He's a tight end, playing converted to tackle. Now, this isn't your stereotypical, Joe Staley played tight end in high school, maybe his freshman year in college. No. This kid played tight end his last game in college. So this is a new thing. But he's not completely unfamiliar to everybody on the 49ers. Guess where he played? University of Texas, San Antonio. The Roadrunners. That's right. He actually lined up next to our starting right guard, Spencer Burford, for several years, 3 years, in fact. He went to Hutchinson Community College before that, then transferred to UTSA. Just turned 24 years old, so younger guy. He's from Snellville, Georgia, which Chapman lived there for a few summers when my dad used to live out there. He's an interesting player for sure. Very undersized, very raw. He was on with the Falcons, didn't catch on. They waived him. We got him on our practice squad. Played in 25 games, did have some injuries while he was at UTSA. Had 25 receptions, 297 yards, 2 touchdowns. He was a blocking tight end. That was his kind of MO. He can move, and he's got some athleticism. But this is, again, stop me if you've heard this before, great run blocker that the 49ers picked up. They always pick up the same type of guys. I mean, Shanahan has a type. He's got a type. It's run blocking. Pass blocking, we'll figure all those things out. But if you can run block, Shanahan's going to like you. And so this is a huge developmental piece. Not somebody that is going to probably play at all this year. He might not even stay on the practice squad. If you have injuries or a lot of injuries at another position and you got to double up, this would be a casualty, because here's the thing. The 49ers have 10 offensive linemen on their active 53. That's the most in the NFL. The 49ers now have 4 offensive linemen on their practice squad. Guess what? Most in the NFL. We have 14 offensive linemen on our squad currently, if you count practice squad and active squad, that's nuts. Most teams have 8 offensive linemen on their active and 2 to 3 on their practice squad. That's 11. We got 14. Most in the NFL. What does that say? I think we know what it says. We're not sold, right? We're not quite sold on the whole issue of the offensive line. And it's one of those things, you kind of throw everything up against the wall and see what sticks. And so I'm with you, Vince. I love the big boys on the squad, and we need a bunch of them. And I like how there are some Band-Aid type players, right? And then there are developmental guys long-term. So you have some guys that you can plug in right away. And you have some guys that can develop, hopefully, but none are the answer currently. There's a lot of question marks. And if those question marks don't pan out, guess what? We got another question mark behind it and another one behind it. So you could spin this either way. But 14 offensive linemen on the squad, I'll tell you right now, it's got some issues there, baby. You got to fix that, because it's not nice. It's just really not nice. Now, here we go. Let's jump in to exactly what this episode, the meat and potatoes, baby, what it's like for the Bears and the 49ers compared last year, right? 2021 to 2022. But before we do, real quick word from my book. Winning seasons have officially returned. And with the NFL season on the way, you're going to get plenty of opportunities with my bookie. That's right. They're back again to support the show all season long. So you can scan this code right here to my right, or you can go sign up with promo code 49ers, 49ERS. And what's going to happen is they're going to give you a double deposit bonus up to $1,000. It's freaking incredible. All you got to do is use our promo code, and it's simple. Let's say you deposit $250. Guess what? You're going to have $500 in your account to bet with, and you've got all kinds of things that you can bet on. Individual games, if you want to keep it simple. You can do prop builders. You can do teasers. You can do parlays. They got casino games. They got everything. So bet on team winning totals, who's going to win the Super Bowl, all those different things, whatever you need to do to secure the bag. So bet anything, anytime, anywhere with my bookie. Again, just scan this code right to my right or head to mybookie.ag. Use promo code 49ERS. Again, bet anything, anytime, anywhere with my bookie. All right, if you're wanting to get those season bets, you got to hurry because they lock up the very first game of the season, which is Thursday, right? So a lot of times my bookie will pull those down the day of. So if you're wanting to participate in those bets that we put up on Patreon, you can head over there and get those done. But again, remember, all season-long bets, so like MVP, Super Bowl winner, blah, 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 rookie of the year, all those things, they come down Wednesday. So kind of plan ahead for that. Flynn asked this, they have quantity. Hopefully you can find quality. I think that's an issue. And I don't know if we're there yet. And CJ says, man, why haven't they brought back Donovan West? Nobody has. Donovan West is currently without a job. His tape was awful. His snaps were bad. I wouldn't mind him coming back, but I think, the fact that they chose Sutherland over him speaks volumes. Because Sutherland was awful. But they chose him and Blake Hance over, and I think rightfully so. Not saying Donovan West can't be that guy. He just showed he wasn't that guy. Probably one of the worst offensive linemen out there. And that's saying a lot because there were so many bad ones. Anyway, now let's get to Greg's question. He said, talk about the difference between last year Bears and this one, and with the 49ers as well. So let's do the Niners first. Gosh, man, bleak darkness. It was not good. Hello, darkness, my old friend. 49ers were 2-4, as I talked about earlier. Last place in the NFC West, tied with the freaking scum-sucking Seahawks. Just got blasted 30-18 by the Colts, which, guess what? Their defensive coordinator, now the head coach of the Bears. There's a lot of tie over here. There are a lot of similarities between the Bears and the 49ers, and we'll get into the X's and O's on a future episode later this week. We got you covered all week, by the way. It is a packed schedule, and we will have several episodes live in Chicago, which I'm excited about. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Now, Cardinals were 7-0, Rams were 6-1, and the 49ers are 2-4. Just left behind. Remember, we had all the injuries to the secondary. Josh Norman was in full effect. We had, if you go to the week before the Bears game, 122 penalty yards against the Colts. It was awful. We went 1 for 11 on third downs. Offense was trash. Defense was trash. Special teams was trash. It was just, you're coming off probably the lowest point of the 49ers season. 2-4. Most teams don't make things 2-4. And I went back and looked it up. If you go 2-5, you have a 3% chance of making the NFL playoffs historically. Whereas if you win the Bears game, which they did, and went 3-4, that's a 19% chance to make the playoffs. I like those percentages. Hashtag Debo. And so, like, again, you go 2-5, the season's over. Like, you're done. And it felt that way. I was at that game. It was in Chicago at Soldier Field. It just felt awful. And where I was sitting, I was surrounded by Bears fans. It was me and a buddy, but we're surrounded by Bears fans. And I'll tell you this, one of my favorite things about Chicago, I felt like their fans, probably one of the more realistic fan bases out there. Part of it's because they haven't been good in a long time, but they're not like a trash talking fan base. I know that there are some, but man, I I was having amazing conversations during the game with a whole bunch of different Bears fans. It was awesome. But the whole time it was just like, golly, man. We were bad. We were so bad. Kilted Niner fan says our secondary is way better this year. It's not even close. Even without Jimmy Ward, not even close. We were bad that year. We were really, really bad that year. And so at that point of the season, too, that was the low point of the season. We hadn't made the transition of Eric Armstead inside yet. Kinlaw was already out, and people were just gassing us, which, if you look at the Bears, they can run the ball relatively well. And so that's rough. That's rough. It was just bad. It was a bad point, man. Shot Jay, he says, John, if we take the homer in us out of the equation as best we can, how do you feel about the Niners being number 7 in the current NFL power rankings? I'll say this about power rankings, and I think this is important. And maybe that's a great question. As Shot Jay is amazing anyway, but awesome question. Don't get caught up in the power rankings. I get it. You want to beat your chest and say, yes, we're better than everybody, because that's how I live my life. But the idea is this: you got to make the dance. That's it. You make the dance. Last year, you could look at who was the number 1 seed in, everybody had the Packers as the best team in the NFL. They had, Rodgers, and he was number 1, and they had the 1 seed. Guess what? They had 0 playoff wins. Look at the 1 seed in the AFC. Guess what? 0 playoff wins with the Tennessee Titans. So power rankings, I want to be towards the top, and I think I want to be respected and understand. A lot of those power rankings, they're just media guys, D-bags like myself that, put their stuff out there. But here's what I would tell you, and I wish there was a way to do this, where every single team would rank the head coaches, right? Defensive coordinators, offensive coordinators, head coaches. Those 3, maybe even throw in the GM. Have them rank what teams you don't want to play. So number 1, what is that one team you don't want to play? That just, I don't want to play them. That's the truest indicator. Now, we're never going to have that, because then teams will lie and whatever else. But if you did those power rankings, and that is the truest indicator of who the best team is, who do people not want to play? 49ers are going to be higher than 7. I can guarantee you that. Guarantee you that. And I think a lot of it, I want to play this clip. I wasn't planning on playing this today. But a lot of it has to do with kind of the philosophy of the team and what you bring in. Now, Adam Peters and John Lynch, they put out finally, they didn't allow us to see it live, which was weird. I talked about that on the show. But what they did do was they put it out after the fact, which is awesome. We got those clips. This is John Lynch talking about the team's philosophy and if it's intentional or not. But this is why, even if the Niners are 7 on power rankings, I don't really care too much. You ask opposing teams, they sure as hell don't want to play the 49ers. Why? John Lynch talks about that.
There's certainly been an evolution, in us as an organization and kind of what we covet. And I think some of that's just predicated on how you win games. Some of it, you grab a player like a Deebo Samuel, and you see the physicality that just wears on people. And we try to do a lot of things. I think we've got as good a staff, and a lot of it starts with our head coach, who's our play caller, in terms of gaining schematic edge. But it's not all about scheme. At some point, you got to impose your will on people, and some of our early picks that didn't pan out, saying why, and then probably a rebound effect. All right, we're going to go get a thick, strong, tough, and you start seeing it, and you start. I remember back to Tampa, defensive coaches getting really upset with me because I would never sit on the bench. Well, I wanted to watch Mike Allstott run somebody over. That lifts a team. And so I think those things start kind of getting ingrained in, all right, this is how we win. And so if we can mix scheme with that mano-a-mano, we're going to impose our will on you, then that's a good thing. And so maybe it has become a theme, and George, the way he plays, kind of embodies that. Trent Williams, you go down the list. So, yeah, that it becomes kind of like a characteristic that we covet.
And if you look at the personnel decisions, I think that matches that. I really do. Like, the Niners will take your freaking soul. Oh, Don Burr. Look at this guy. Talking about last year, right on cue, my friend. Which, if you guys are new to the show, Don Burr is our resident Lions fan, which he was with a lot of the Niners shows through the podcast season, off season last year until we beat them week 1. But Don Burr, glad to have you back. And I appreciate this. As a Lions fan talking trash on the Bears fans, I love that. I love that. He says, yeah, right. Chicago fan, I see what you did there, are the worst and mad delusional, all those things. I think being in the division makes it a little bit less harmful, right? So as a Niners fan talking to a Bears fan, we're cross divisions, not too big of a deal, not rivalry, none of that stuff. Lions fan and Bears, I mean, you guys have been fighting for the bottom of that division for decades, so I get it. There's competition there. And sorry, I'm not trying to throw slugs, but I think I kind of did. Anyway, Don, glad to have you, man. Very, very glad to have you, buddy. And I've enjoyed watching your team on Hard Knocks. It's been a lot of fun. But yeah, don't drink too much of that Detroit Kool-Aid. I think y'all be improved, but playoffs still very far away, sadly. Vince, and man, yeah. You guys remember people talking about fire Shanahan last year? That was this week. Half of my replies were about, oh, we got to fire this head coach. It's trash, blah, blah. One good season. And yeah, imagine that. Imagine if we were a team that were swayed by that and the Niners would have moved on from Shanahan. Now, again, right where he should be, by far top 3 offensive play caller and head coach. I think I don't know. Anyway, we'll take that for what it is. Now, I love Don Bird talking trash to everybody in there. I love it. Yeah, Nick says, over under 75 rush attempts versus the Bears. You know, my winning stat almost every single game is 28 rush attempts. It's going to be more. It's going to be more. It's going to be more. That's all there is to it. It's not going to be a high-scoring game. I think the over-under is like 41 points, 41 and a half on Vegas. I'm betting the under. It's not going to be a lot of points. It's not, I mean, there's not going to be a lot of plays. Both teams want to run the ball and limit negative plays. And so it's going to be a fast game as far as like time length, but it's going to drag on a little bit. And that's okay, because I think that's kind of what the 49ers want. It's just what they want. Now, let's see here. He says, a lot of the concern about the offensive line has been focused on its ability or lack thereof to protect Trey Lance. The real concern, will they be able to make some holes? And that's the way they built their team. Kilted, you said it, man. Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch don't care about pass protection near as much. Can you facilitate the zone Shanahan blocking scheme to perfection? If you can show you can do that, then you're like a cat. You get 9 lives. If you can't do that, and that's why we saw Sam Mills go, right? Again, what is their identity? What is one of their core values? Toughness, run blocking. You got to have it, even if you're a wide receiver. That's why Ayuk didn't play much last year early on, right? Until he bought into the run blocking thing. You got to have those things. They have to be there. Otherwise, this system doesn't work. It doesn't work. Now, everything looked bad. Defense was getting shredded by Fields. It was just bad all over. I think Fields had his best game all of last year, his rookie year, against us. He played very, very well. Kept his team not only like in the game, they were winning. We were down 9-16 in the third quarter. Like halfway through, like we were not doing well. We got backed up, and I'm gonna play this clip for you. I re-recorded this morning, going back through the game tape. So this is with today's eyes on last year's game. Okay, so it's a quick clip, but I think I narrated it somewhat well to where even if you're listening to audio, this is the turning point, not of the game, which it was, the Bears game, of the freaking season. Ugh. You know, I recently got asked what was the main difference between the 49ers last year and this year in the Bears game. You got to remember, 49ers were losing. They were 2-4 heading into this game, down 7 points. Things were not looking good at all. And it's 3rd and 20, backed up inside your own 15-yard line. Things were awful. We were kicking field goals. It wasn't working great. We didn't even have Robbie Gould. Things were bad. And then you got this play, 3rd and 20. You get the ball out to Deebo Samuel, and you just let Deebo do his thing. This is where the season turned from 2-4 to NFC Championship. If I had to pick one play that signified the turn, it was right here. From a bad football team to a good football team, Deebo Samuel, the MVP of the 2021 49ers season, just took over. Now, it's not just him on this play. I mean, the quarterback throw, whatever, it's just a quick, whatever. Jimmy G was bad in this game to this point, but it's the offensive line. It's the blocking downfield. It's the allowing your studs. I mean, you can see right here, you're about to get a pancake from the big man. We've got everybody out blocking in front. Look at Dwelly got the cutoff block. Ayuk. You've got Brunskill, Mack, who's no longer with us, Lakin, who's no longer with us, but Deebo just kind of takes over. And so, again, you just look at where the season changed. This is it right here. You were about to be a 2-5 football team, but Deebo said, and he went and got it. Absolutely incredible. I'm expecting Deebo to have a big game. Bears defense is better. You even see Tyshawn Gibson out there, which is interesting because now he's with us. But this was the turning point last year. Can it be something like that again where the 49ers maybe don't start off on the wrong foot, which they have been notorious for under Kyle Shanahan? But I'm excited about this game. It's a different tune for the 49ers. Bears still in the same place, though. Oh, man, that's fun. I don't know. I love film. I love big plays, and it's very rare that you can kind of put your finger on it. Like, oh, that was the moment. That was it right there. Everything changed there. Everything changed. You look at the 49ers went on to win 4 out of their next 5 and 6 out of their next 7 from that point, counting the Bears game, right? So you go from 2-4, you won 2 out of 6 games, to winning 6 out of 7 games. Like, it was just a switch. It was a switch. It was an identity thing. Also, right after that, we switched Eric Armstead inside. That helped the defense. We got a couple players back healthy-wise. Got Josh Norman the hell out of there. Ambry Thomas got in there. Things started to pick up a little bit. I don't know, man. And again, you look at the Bears. Bears were 3-4 before that game. They had a better record than us. They were a half game out of second place in their division. That's it. Because what's it called? The Vikings were 3-3, I think. So they were right there. They were right there. Get beat at home. What happens? They lose 6 out of their next 7. Do you see the difference? Now, I would argue that the Bears were playing much better than they were before the 49ers game. And their lack of depth continued to show out as the season went on, whereas the 49ers were playing worse than they were before that game, but their strength in depth started to show out as the season went on, right? Again, look at teams. Cardinals start hot every time, and then couple injuries, they're done. 49ers are not that. And a big reason why they're a slow starting team is because they're a rhythmic team. Right? They got to build up that pace, which is going to be difficult with Trey Lance this year. But also, we have an extremely deep roster. Look how many of our players got claimed. I think 6 total. Rams, 0 players claimed, right? There's differences out there with the way teams build their team. Top heavy, depth. 49ers are one of the rare teams that have a lot of top heavy, but also a lot of depth, which is, it seems interesting, but you're allowed to do that. Why? You got a rookie quarterback skill. Jimmy Garoppolo took that huge pay cut, right? So now you've got a little bit of money that you can finagle some things. And even though the salary cap doesn't look like much right now, guess what? A lot of the reason why, if you watch the episode with us and Jason Hurley, 49erscap.com, the likely to be earned bonus. Jimmy Garoppolo's got incentives for every game. If he plays 50 snaps or more, if he wins the game, if he starts the game in the playoffs, if he starts the game in the NFC Championship, well, guess what? Likely to be earned bonuses count against the cap. How do you determine those things? What did he do last year? Jimmy Garoppolo started all those games last year, so all those count against the cap right now. Jimmy Garoppolo started in the NFC Championship and won playoff games, so guess what? All those bonuses count against the cap this year. But if he doesn't do it again, you get all those cap savings back next year. Get me excited, baby, for the future, for now and for the future. I think that's kind of what's important here. And so I think those are the things that are there. So even though you look at like any cap site, whether it's 49erscap.com or Spotrac or on the over the cap, whatever. Yeah, you're like, oh, the Niners don't have that much cap. Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do. Because Jimmy Garoppolo's not going to be starting a whole bunch of games. He might start a couple, but part of those things are he's got to start and win playoff games. And if he does that, then he deserves it. And we're right where we should be. But yeah, that's where we are. Anyway, I love this. I love this. Kelly, I'm excited. He says Ayuk will have the most passing yards that will swarm Debo and Kittle. Pick your poison. You want to stop the run? Cool. We can throw the ball. We've got lots of options. You want to stop Debo and Kittle? Cool. We got Ayuk. We can run the ball. The way that the 49ers have assembled this team, when all cylinders hit, they're unstoppable. Now, can they get there with Trey Lance? That's the question. That's the question. And we haven't even talked about this. Trey Lance versus Justin Fields. How awesome is that? Remember those debates, baby? We want to talk about going back to next year. Do you remember after we traded up a month before the draft? Those debates, the Mac Jones, the Justin Fields, the Trey Lance, all those things. Do you remember those? Yeah. And I still love Justin Fields. I really was high on him. I had him as my 4th quarterback in the draft. I had Trey as my 2nd. But I told everybody repeatedly, I would be so happy if we got Justin Fields. I did not want Mac Jones. Not that I think Mac Jones is bad. I just think he's similar to Jimmy Garoppolo play style. And I want to go for ceiling if we're trading all those picks. And I think that's what we've seen, right? I think that's what we've seen. But we're so close. Oh, look at this. 6 days, 22 hours, and 8 minutes. We're recording this at 11:51 a.m. Like, we're in the 3rd quarter. We're in the 3rd quarter right now, a week from now. I'm so freaking excited, man. And it's been fun. I've been able to, shout out to everybody that's coming out for the 49ers Rush road trip. Really excited about that. Guy, I do have some news and announcements I got to make on that, which is good and bad. It's a great thing. Our tailgate that, we're going to be partying right on Lake Michigan, right next to the Adler Planetarium and the Adler lot. We sold it out. Which is awesome. I kept telling everybody, we're going to sell this out. We're going to sell it out. And sure enough, we did. We're not selling anymore. Now, if you want to come party with us, you can come party with us. Just bring your own drinks, your own food, whatever. But we have a smaller staff, and I want to make sure the people that have paid, we give everybody a great time. We're not the experience over profit always. And I've had people say, hey, we're bringing 15 people out. We'll pay twice as much. Just let us in. And that's not why we do these things. We do these things for community. And I've done so many tailgates thrown by other people where I wait in line for 40 minutes for a beer and then the tailgate's done or they run out of beer. That's not who we are. We're about experience, repeat customers. Now, if you want to come party with us, oh my gosh, more the merrier. And we're doing giveaways out there. It's going to be a great time. So anyway, that has sold out. We do still have a handful of spots left for our Chicago Saturday night party before the game at the NOLA Bar and Kitchen right in Wrigleyville. So head to 49ersrushroadtrip.com to get your tickets. Guys, again, probably going to sell out. That is a limited space venue, sadly. And so whatever we paid to secure that spot, which is hard because Notre Dame's playing, Giants and Cubs are playing. Like, there's a lot of stuff going on, and bars didn't want like a giant party. So we've got some limited spots there. So just check that out. And for all our events, just look for that 49ers Rush Road Trip flag. We will be flying that bad boy high, and that'll let you know. So you can always come join us. Always come join us. But unfortunately, the tailgates sold out, but we'll be partying out there before and after the win, which, yes, they are going to win, baby. I'm so excited. And if you are coming to the tailgate, I strongly recommend taking a water taxi or taking an Uber or a taxi itself. That's a long walk from Michigan Avenue to get over there. So just anyway, throwing that out there. But, man, we've got so much content coming this week on Patreon, bonus episodes, breakdowns, all that stuff. Lots of episodes coming. We're going to be recording live at our parties, which is going to be fun. So for those of you that can't travel and make it, we're going to try to bridge and bring everybody together, whether, virtually or actually in person. So we got a lot more stuff and scouting reports, all that. Man, such a fun time. to be a 49ers fan right now. I want to say thank you to everybody. And until next time, stay strong, faithful.